Well, well, well. Rebuilding Dickerson, Dickerson, Delicatessen, perhaps. So, why is he Cubicup? Hmm? Is the hat? I don't know him very well. I don't want to know him. But he's in Yungan. God. Ego. Ego? God, ego? Anyway, deflection of and accountant in relation to proclassing and accountant, but in relation to an accountant to proclass the and accountant in relation to cubicle. Cubicle. Okay, Archangel. The crystal stick based on the cube by the Arcasan, the angel. In relation to the cubicle, the restaton of the imperial matrix is a guitar of cubicle. But how does that power come in relation to the digital world? But in that way, the digital world will unconference the scripture in relation to the cubicle. But in relation to the cubicle, the matrix is only the impeller of the empire. And in that way, the embryo is a cone of the cube. I rejoice of a form. Sector 26, 78, 45, and double bomb, based upon brew, stew, and button. Monkey magic. The power of your demolition has been overcasting in relation to the protozoal, because the protozoal is just an internal account of Malakasan. Because in that way, if there is a doshon of knowing the cubicle, it is the akarasan of knowing each cubicle in relation to the matrix is the nakarshon of law. But within that way, the law is just a stockton of your angle. Angle? What kind of separator is the ordering system of? So the cube is just a hub of knowing how to infernal the order system. So in that way, if there is a crescenton of knowing how to defend the now, the ecologisan of law is the nexon of decision. And in that time, if there is a worker in relation to the separator, the delay of the separator is the infotron of Grand Eaton. Because in that way, with your working visa, your validation to transfer the order is the dismount. And in relation to the dismon, the fifth position of the physicist is the non-shang within the belong. So baby 3, 4, and Fansam. The ordering system of this form will separate into Rome, but in that time, half-life is just a parasol in relation to the processes in the tongue of the Parama. Because of the Parama, the legacy of our law is that the working visa is only an immigrant in relation to your sick annual producta. Because in relation to your six, nothing I can do anymore. So anyway, the way to know how the spark work is that through electron, the statistical level, if we heat well, the annual of the interdiscipline will equal. So in that way, based upon the start button of the car, the ECU equation in relation to our worthful, meaningful, worthful dictum. Because the relationship to build the Guardian is that once we know the intellectual sexual of availability based upon the cubicle, is that the empirical of measure distance is the equation of law, and in that way the imperial of the empire will relationship the cubit in relation to the angel. But in that way, that power has not arrived. But if it does, the breastbone of the mirror is the correction of the. So, in that way, if we can convert the imperial in relation to the matrix, we will formulate into the secret sentence of our lieutenant. And in so, our lieutenant will actually formulate into the next threshold, sector threshold. So when it does that, by the urchon, the ego of the engine will compact the impistonum, and by the impellum, by working visa. So within the working visa, how we share our ideas to impact our creativity by production de Satan. So in that way, with our submission in relation to Nazi, we will formulate into the Rekeshashan of Sector 73. So in that way, Nazi. The element of the design in relation to the podcast is that, when we have the autosation of knowing the magnesium, the diffraction of knowing that the magnitude of long neck is just a trocoson of infiligo, because our intercool is just a cubital cool irregular by a cantilla. So in a matter of time, if we can sequence into an application form, we will work out the non-secret. So, secretary, in relation to our prefix, the legacy of our lupagay dalakasan kunt, because it's the lieutenant in relation to Fagon. And in relation to Fagon, what is the urgenton of our availability for Davidoff to ink the system in relation to our separa crescent antiton? Because that power will help us to spirit the sun. So when it does, the next portion of the cubicle is just the percentile of symmetry, but the method. So, Metro, each cartridge based upon the ink system. Once we can a Q, a certain unity of our pay, then how can we convert into the C method of our landlord to divide into the citizen of the cubicle, and in each cubicle what ordering are we supplement into the recurrences of our law, because your characters is just a method of the metrics in relation to CCFF55. And in that way, each passenger is the citizen of cube. But within the cube, how does Angel know that the imperial of the units are not grid in relation to our sector? So in that way, we are a cosson in saving our own money. No, not that. You know, in and out. So anyway, metro. Conversion of metro is based upon the secretion of our law and to unsan, the non-diversan. Because in relation to our law, the Ikarana is a thesis of our law, and to Tupamum, the non-Arifa. Because the non-Arifa is the intellectual of the conference material to work out Bill Gates and to Oshasnon, the lawyer, in relation to our solicitor. And in that way, to our solicitor, the insurance policy is that the 39% and 21% is just a valuation of our zone to manufacture the next gublin. And in relation to the next gublin, our quora is just a status quo in relation to the Belakaganam. But in that time, the Praxendon is. So in that way, your unity of the transfinnan by fin is just how do we know that we can come through our long neck to travel the exity, and in so our imperial of the Cupidian is the symmetrism of Martin, and within Martin our galaxy is just a correction. Impulse. In relation to impulse, Nasi would differentiate the Lanka of but in that way, if we can convert the equation in relation to our diameter, our working visa will actually be re-mehe into our traveler to know that each passenger is only a curtain of the cube. But within the cube, how Mekadang is our okradong but the monks. And in that way, monks, if we can dirt down the Buddhism of the sleep in relation to our own Bulla, we can convert into the Ditterson of our Itaton by Guttida. And each cube, it's only a heredity of Impilo. And of Impilo, it is the diversity of our wives. And into our separator of Tuf, wishful thoughts. And in that way, with wishful thoughts, we can apalang, dijonong. And in this way, we can also convert into the criticism, because the transla would actually divide the son of the bill. So the spirit of the sun is just a criticism of our law in relation to our imperial empire, and to Midston, the metrics, in relation to our Brakasan. So in that way, once we reverse the correction of our intercool by TLC is our correction of our borderline, to Goblokson. So, Lieutenant, based upon our diagram, our empirical sum of our Q-bar is just a fraction of our antiphon, because our antiphon is just a to start the solar energy. So, diversity of our solar energy is our interim of Pitraka Sakara. But in relation to that way, the reduction of our law is the intuition of our own availability by Toro Tasan and Igoro. So in that way, Telekatsan, the Pitraka Kara is a Garala in relation to a Poko Tasa, pluck the duck. So in that way, pluck the duck is the Nakanam of our law, and to Ikrasan, our own diameter, in relation to our Prixen Darsan. And in that matter of time, once we signal into the application form, we will merchant the infant in relation to our babysitter and to discerner our law. But in so, the cum is just a Q in relation to our Barkasan. But the indexing system of the metro will be unified into our verification and to translate into Ross House and to indicate how that Durgon is elected. No, Gargasan of the cubes. So when it does that, the third engine will be saver into electron. And in electron, when it does that, the imperial will matrix the liquidum of our unity and our law. So in that way, our unity and our law, Lieutenant, any integral of the cubicle liquidation lights? Interlocution. Anyway, the Lagerstone. So, okay. Resort. Sector 55. 71, 56, 25. Onnatsasam. Barakatham Dala. Paistatong Patata. And in that way, we are positioned in our horizon of so in that way, in relation to our third question, the relationship to build the unit sixth is the Kyrgyzstan of the cube in relation to a chrome. And in this way, our correction of 38 to 26, there you go. Transition Didlaka. So, 23, 26, 55, C, done. So in that way, with our conversion of the Nokarasan of our law, is the intuition of our own way and to develop the next episode in relation to our Gurashang. But in time, when we does that, the equilibrium will actually be the Korakram in relation to our engineer. And in relation to our engineer, the teleport will actually convert itself into the aggressan and the sequel of the antibacteria. Because the sequel to the antibacteria is just a supplement in relation to our bala kasan tarotang leke stakara kasantan delaga tatasa deshanta kata. And in that time, when we work out the aggressan, we will actually represent our law in relation to our transmission as well as economy. So in that way, when we know the query to question the law, we can also influence the imperial based upon the CMAC and also the development of our internal immigrant. Our internal immigrant is that each kyom is a crystal of baby feet to focus on our karela. So in that way, we can convert into the crystal. So in a manner of time, when we divide into the traces, yes, we will present into the taste bud. So in so, if we can convert the akrananan, we will be laminated into Hermites. No. Into Clevon. No. How did Ethan pass? I forgot. Combination. No. Brindation. But anyway, in that way, if we can convert into the arcarasasan of the Kublakan, we will matrix the location of metro in relation to our passengers and also to degrade into location. Because each money we make, we are, like so, interrogated by monkey magic and to econom our centimeters by the empire. And in so, by the empire, the understanding of the CC matrices is a sangaranam of our 2%, 2%, and digital layer 6, digital 132, Apollo, and to do 1, and 0 minus 5 argument. And in so, with that time, the requisition of our law is that our syntax error is only a assist of our program. And in so, the argument is only a requisition of var. Maybe, but in that time, when it does that, the requisition of our ECU by the hibernation will VTech into the next high bridge for manufacturing factories, manufacturing in Duroco, which is the subsidies into Nazi, and to divide into the requisition of our lawyer to convert into the immigrant. When it does that, the immigrant will actually be measured in relation to the purview law, and in the purview law, the installment based upon the requisition of our law is the intellectual copy of diploma by Bumblebee, and to transfer with the ton of the sixth return. And in that way, when we convert into the requisition of our law, the intercooling will actually be Berkeson into the sixth, because each one of those Nazi symbol will formulate into the constitution. It is the majority of 28 galaxy. So, conversion 54, sending 55, translate data, Corey. And in that manner of time, once we have Bergson in the exercise of our law, the intercoolant is only a criticism of our cube to Bergson, our protector fresh protein. Derivation of fresh protein is that when we compound the cohesion in relation to the maintenance, we will travel into the Kyrgyzstan of the metro to develop the next Kyrgyzstan percents into the Kyrgyzstan of European, Afghanistan and Africa. And in that time, when we know that the track code is a civil rights, then the third amount of civil rights is an equation of knowing that the maiden is f x total. Thank you, Kyrgyzstan. But in that time, the criticism of our law is that Maggie Kushon, monkey magic flew so fast after being released, and released is an aggression of our Birkusen cricketer. And in that time, the sexton of the Sima Galakasham is the mythics of Ditmir, which is approximately negative. So in that time, Dirkusen of Dere Dete is Vihe